it will be a departure in the sense that it will be perceived as a so-called realistic drama, whereas my other films have tended to be categorized as horror or science fiction. Um, and I think that's valuable because it would be a mistake for people to think of this film as a horror film. It just simply isn't. Well, I'm always interested in characters who are so obsessive and so inventive that it pushes them out of shape and pushes them slightly to the outer fringes of society, rather than dealing, let's say, with people who are on the outside because they don't have an education, or they're poor, or they're drunks, or whatever. Um, uh, I like I'm more interested in people who almost have willed themselves to be on the outer fringes of society, even though, as with our twins, who are very successful at the beginning of the film in medicine and so on, even though from the outside they might seem to be very well acclimatized to society, perhaps even better at it than most people. But their inside is this germ of something that's growing, a crystal, that ultimately is going to twist things around. And I find that very intriguing, and I like to study it. And I think there are many more movies for me that will deal with that subject. When I tried to set this film up at various studios, I was surprised to find that people were intrigued by the idea of twins, but repelled by the idea of gynecology in general. And in fact, that more than once I had someone at a studio say, "Well, yeah, but do they have to be gynecologists? I mean, couldn't they be lawyers?" And the answer was, if you think they could be lawyers, then you really don't understand this project. You really shouldn't be involved in it. It's not that I'm not interested in lawyers and I love gynecology. What it is that a huge part of the film has to do with the relationships between men and women, and the particular strange approach to that subject matter that the twins take, that they should choose a profession which gives them a relationship to women that is very strictly regimented, in which everything is well defined, and which everything is kept at a distance, is part of what's important in the movie. That their approach to sex should be, or sexuality even, should be clinical. Yeah, it's interesting what a taboo it is. Um, because everybody's interested in it. Everybody has a gynecology story, male or female, their girlfriend, their wife, or the experience itself in women. And yet, it's very hard to find an actor who would play a gynecologist. You know, there's a whole macho uh, sense of what acting should be amongst American actors, and they'd play killers and they'd play, robbers and thieves, but they wouldn't want to play a gynecologist. Everyone, even people on the street, would say, "Gee, playing twins, that must be a great challenge for an actor. Surely any actor would want to play twins." In fact, I think that's the first reaction, and then the second one is terror on the part of the actor, being afraid that he will not be able to make them different enough, or that he will make them too different. If one of the twins is a psychotic, I think an actor could feel comfortable playing that, and he knows how to make them different. One is truly innocent, one is truly evil. To play two real people without those things to hide behind is difficult and scary. I think that's what attracted Jeremy to the subject matter. I think it's also was scary for him. Almost all twins movies are either broad comedies in which the twins are, let's say, exactly the same. That's like The Parent Trap. There's no different. Or they are thrillers in which one of the twins is a psychotic killer and the other one is innocent. And I've never actually seen a movie which featured twins as a main character, in which the twins were each real people, complex and subtle, and neither one being the embodiment of evil, or not, and it was just that they were both real people. Uh, and that was what the script demanded. In fact, they do look different in the film in the sense that, I mean, Jeremy, he's so good and so subtle. He actually holds his mouth differently when he speaks as Elliot, different from the way he does when he's Beverly. They actually do look different in the film, but it's all really acting and some very subtle makeup and hair things, very subtle. Jeremy's very inventive, and his mind is never still. He's always working. And so he did bring quite a bit to the roles. I mean, really a lot. He's not an actor who is just passive and just does what is asked of him. I mean, he puts a lot more into it than that. I was worried about thinking about the possible complications of making twins out of one actor. Yes, without that, the film would have been a very straightforward, dramatic movie. With that, almost every scene is a special effects scene in an invisible way. And even in a scene that is very horrific in my films, there's always an inventiveness. I hope that it's not something that my audience would ever see in any other film, and so it's not just a matter of graphic violence or anything like that. It's inventive and suggestive and metaphorical when it's working.